Alan Jones, consultant.
When adults are hit by cars, they usually have damage to their legs. With a child, they will tend to have more pelvic injuries, but because they're fairly elastic, bones bend, they tend not to break. The energy from the impact is transmitted to organs like the liver and the spleen. They will rupture and bleed into the abdomen.
Always drive carefully. Think. Ian Busby, accident investigator.
Nothing upsets any of us more than seeing the impact on the inside of a vehicle, on the inside of a windscreen, where a child has come through from the back seat. And when you get to speak to the family afterwards, they say to you, well, he always screams when we put him in his child seat.
Rear seat passengers should always wear a seatbelt. Think.
John Webb, and I'm a police accident investigator. They were only travelling at 30 miles an hour. The car mounted the footpath and hit a lamppost. The rear passenger was not wearing his seatbelt. He hit the rear of her seat with such force that it squashed her into her front passenger footwell. The first people who attended the scene weren't aware that she was there. His inactions caused her death.
Does anyone in your car still travel without a seatbelt? Think.
Tony Price, I'm the Chief Inspector in West Mercia Police. A driver who was very tired, but was pushing on, drove down the hard shoulder thinking it was lane 1 and collided with the rear of a vehicle that was stopped. You don't often get people come along and say, well, I'm sorry, I was tired, I fell asleep. I think after 2 hours driving, we all begin to feel the effects, and it's always wise then to stop somewhere safe and have a proper rest.
Tiredness can kill. Take a break. Think.
Tony Price, I'm the Chief Inspector in West Mercia Police. We all know the signs of tiredness in ourselves when we're driving. We find it very difficult to concentrate. Once you become tired and fatigued, your attention is not on the road and the car will begin to wander, and it's then quite a lethal weapon. The collision will be the first point at which they actually even become aware that things are going wrong, and by then, of course, it's too late.
Tiredness can kill. Take a break. Think.
Tony Price, I'm the Chief Inspector in West Mercia Police. It was as he was travelling along the motorway that he began to feel tired, there's no doubt about that. Drivers afterwards reported having seen his car weaving from lane to lane. He carried on over the embankment, the car flipped over and landed on its roof very heavily, and he was killed. It was simply tiredness. He thought he could get home and he couldn't.
Tiredness can kill. Take a break. Think.
Paul Bennett, PC 218, attached to Euston Traffic Garage. During the summer months, it's quite easy to get carried away, not realising how much alcohol you're actually drinking. You can sit outside in a nice pub garden and drink. You drink over a greater period of time, and you forget how much you've been drinking. And it's all that sort of thing that sort of all go into a mishmash and make a recipe for disaster.
Drink drivers kill more people in August than at Christmas. Think.
Paul Bennett, PC 218, attached to Euston Traffic Garage. They tend to be short journeys, just popping down the pub, just popping home. It was a Sunday afternoon. As they come down to the bottom of the hill, the car had lost control, mounted the pavement, hit the tree and turned over. The young man in the back was dead. Everything was taken over by the drink, and before they know it, something that affects the rest of their lives happened. Awful.
Drink drivers kill more people in August than at Christmas. Think.
I decided to travel overnight. I'd done a full day's work. There wasn't that much traffic about on the Friday night, and got to about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I remember entering the dual carriageway section, and the next thing I remember is landing on the other side of the roundabout. The fact of it landing woke me up, and I realised that but for a bit of good fortune, we could have all been dead.
Tiredness can kill. Take a break. Think.
Yeah, if you love me, I dance like Fred Hi, this is Boy George, hoping someone loves you this Christmas and asking you please not to drink and drive.
Think. Think.
PC John Spencer, Senior Accident Investigator. At 35 miles an hour, a vehicle striking a pedestrian will cause some quite traumatic injuries. It's quite likely that person will die. At 30 miles an hour, a vehicle will obviously be able to stop in a lot shorter distance, and the accident may not have happened at all.
Driving too fast is one of the biggest factors behind accidents on our roads. How often do you check your speed? Think. Do you ever leave your home without closing the door? Of course you don't. You make sure it's safe and secure. Isn't it just as important to make sure your child's seat is safe and secure every time you drive? Think about it. There's so much more at risk. So, at the start of every journey, take the time to check the seat is correctly and tightly fitted and that your child is safely strapped in. If you need advice, speak to your local authority road safety officer. Think.
You're probably not driving much faster than the speed limit, are you? Well, you are busy and you've got things to do. After all, you're only keeping up with the other traffic on the road. And that small bit of extra speed will help get that car behind you off your tail, or save a precious minute or two off your journey, or run someone over, possibly kill them. The average distance it takes to stop suddenly at 35 miles per hour is 21 feet further than at 30. Think. Do you need to slow down? So many car accidents are caused by the driver falling asleep. When you start to turn the radio up, wind down the window for that gust of fresh air, feel your eyelids getting heavier or that drifting feeling, you're in danger. Recognize these symptoms. Think. Take a break and be safe.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Whatever speed you're travelling at, there should always be at least a 2-second gap between you and the car in front.
A man's gotta do what a man's gotta do.
How you time the 2 seconds is up to you. Simply watch the car in front pass a fixed point like a bridge or a tree.
Good things come to those who wait.
Recite a phrase that lasts 2 seconds and make sure you've finished before your car passes the same point. You'll need to say it twice in wet or icy conditions.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Friends, Romans, countrymen.
Think. Always leave a 2-second gap.
3-point safety belts, ABS anti-lock braking, impact-absorbing airbags. There are some road users who don't have the advantage of this technology.
Easy.
A horse and its rider have less protection than other road users, so think. Slow down as you pass, give them plenty of room and be ready to stop. Remember, sounding your horn or revving your engine can scare a horse and could cause a serious accident. Think. Slow down for horses.
We learnt about the Egyptians. I like to do multiplication. We had to cut out some shapes. I like writing my book.
Your child learns a lot at school, but have they learned the difference between the road and the pavement?
We had to draw an alien.
Do they understand the dangers of traffic?
I made a house.
Do they know how to cross the road safely?
We can go on to the computer.
With over 3,000 children killed or seriously injured on our roads every year, there's one thing you can help your child learn, and that's basic road sense. Call 0870 1226 236 for a free leaflet. Think. Road sense should be part of growing up. Road sense should be part of growing up. Call 0870 1226 236 for a free leaflet. Think. Help keep children safe.
Ah, Christmas, a special time of year. A time for carol singers, roasted chestnuts and hot mince pies. A time for mistletoe and mulled wine. A time for enjoying a drink or two with friends. Then getting into the car and driving home, and just slightly misjudging that bend, and mounting the curb and killing a pedestrian. Such a special time of year.
Drinking and driving is one Christmas tradition we could all do without. Think.
That's Karen. But that isn't Karen's boyfriend. No, he's at home coming to terms with the 1-year ban he just received for drink driving. And tomorrow morning he'll be coming to terms with the more bad news. Think. Yeah? Don't drink and drive.
Everyone knows the signs of tiredness when they're driving. Maybe you're starting to feel it now. It's hard to concentrate and your eyelids become heavy. But turning up the radio or winding down the window won't help you stay awake. You should take a break every 2 hours. And if you do become tired, the best thing is to stop somewhere safe, have a caffeinated drink, and if possible, take a 15-minute nap. Think. Take a break.
If you're in your car and a child ran out in front of you right now, could you stop? Think. Slow down. At only 5 miles an hour over the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, it takes another 21 feet to stop. Think. Slow down.
Are you still driving? Listen, have you tried opening the window to keep yourself awake? It doesn't work. Think. Tiredness kills. Take a proper break.
We've all got to die sometime. And what better way to go than to die in your sleep? Warm, comfortable, your favourite piece of music playing, your family by your side, the steering wheel slipping loosely through your fingers as your car veers gently across the lane at 70 miles an hour, onto the soft verge, and straight into a concrete bridge.
If you're driving long distances this holiday, plan ahead to allow enough time to take regular breaks. Think. Don't drive tired. I first realised that people couldn't see my brother when he was 16. And you'd think not being seen would be fun, you know, the things you could get away with, but basically it scares me and Mum to death every time he leaves the house. If people can't see him, he might get knocked down by a car or something. So if you're out there driving now, please watch out for him. He tries to make himself seen by wearing a yellow jacket. His name's John. He rides a motorbike. Think. Look out for bikes.
It's rush hour.
Oh, come on.
This is Tom. Tom is stuck in traffic and is late for work. And this is Mark. Mark never gets stuck in traffic. Tom has seen a gap in the other lane.
Here we go.
He looks in his mirrors, indicates, and pulls out. Mark hasn't expected Tom to change lanes. Tom can't see Mark because he's in his blind spot. Tom didn't look over his shoulder.
I didn't see him. I didn't see him. Came out of nowhere.
Drivers, riders, think. Look out for each other.
The World Cup may have an early start, but don't forget, 2,000 people are breathalyzed every day throughout the day. Think. Don't drink and drive. Anytime.
Good morning, sir. So, how many pints have you managed this morning?
About
70 or 80, so...
Right, if you'd like to step out of the float, please, sir.
Get up, what are you doing? Ow!
The Rugby World Cup matches start early, but remember that 2,000 people are breathalyzed every day throughout the day. Think, don't drink and drive, anytime.
You're 4 times more likely to have a road accident when you're on a mobile phone. You're 4 times more likely to have a road accident when you're on a mobile phone. You're 4 times more likely to have a road accident when you're on a mobile phone. You're 4 times more likely to have a road accident when you're on a mobile phone. It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at the same time. Think. Switch your mobile off when you drive.
Dodgy and corrupt.
Have you been banned for drink driving? Are you getting your license back soon? Are you looking for motor insurance? Then look no further than Dodgy and Corrupt Unregulated. Call us now.
Dodgy and Corrupt, Vicky speaking, how can I help?
Drinking and driving? You won't find a more expensive policy guaranteed.
Dodgy and Corrupt, think of us when you drive and drink.
If you've been convicted of drinking and driving, your insurance could triple. Think. Don't drink and drive.
Do you need to borrow a load of cash fast? Maybe you've got a huge credit card bill. Maybe you've got the mafia after you. Or perhaps you've been fined for drink driving and you've been turned down by every bank in the high street. Then simply call Fly By Night Finance. We've helped dozens of desperate people with previous credit problems. And if you pay us back in 2 weeks, we won't send the boys round. Fly By Night Finance, when you're really desperate. Typical example, borrow £5,000 over 14 days. APR 99% variable, 14 days at 353.57. Total payable £9,950. Unlicensed lenders and credit brokers.
If you drink and drive, you could be looking at a £5,000 fine. Think. Don't drink and drive.
I was a computer software salesman doing 1,000 miles a week in my company car. When I lost my license, badjobs.co.uk sorted me out with a new job on a maggot farm.
I used to work for fabric designers, driving between London and our nationwide suppliers. When I lost my licence, badjobs.co.uk found me a new position. Now I'm a false teeth polisher.
For a career move in the wrong direction, log on to badjobs.co.uk.
Badjobs.co.uk.
It's a terrible job.
But someone's got to do it.
If you're convicted of drink driving, you'll lose your licence instantly for 12 months. Think. Don't drink and drive.
Funny Places Motorway Services, they sell some really odd things, like polo shirts. Well, it stands to reason, doesn't it? Why go to Bond Street when you could nip up the motorway to Effley Buckham Services? Another thing the services are good for is taking a break. Up to 20% of motorway crashes are caused by drivers falling asleep at the wheel, so it's a good idea to take a break at least every 2 hours. You could get me a polo shirt while you're there, lilac, 44 chest. Think. Don't drive tired. The power nap. Remember that? From the 80s, like shoulder pads and red braces. But the power nap could be useful for all of us. Up to 20% of motorway crashes are caused by drivers falling asleep at the wheel. So, if you get drowsy while driving, the best thing to do is find somewhere safe to stop, have a coffee and a nap for 15 minutes while the caffeine kicks in. It won't turn you into an oil baron, but it might keep you alive, and that can't be bad. Think. Don't drive tired. Which song do you fancy at your funeral? Probably not something you want to think about yet, no reason why you should. Unless you're the kind of person who likes to drive long distances without taking a break. Up to 20% of motorway crashes are caused by drivers falling asleep at the wheel. So, it's a good idea to plan ahead and take a break every couple of hours. Of course, you may prefer not to plan to stop before you start, in which case, I'd recommend my way for the funeral. Think. Don't drive tired.
Cash to hand, so to more. Love to joke, flirt too much. Lift to take, walk to car. Smile to laugh, look too long. Shout to wait, just too late. Lights to blue, pull to side. Breath to check, take a ride. Drink to drive, find $2,000, pay the man, it's cash to hand. What will it take to stop you drink driving? Think. Only had a couple. Only a small misjudgment. Only just got stopped. Only had a little over the limit. Only a day in court. Only his mind's turning to other things, see. He's only just lost his licence now, and he's got to live with that. Only he's wishing, if only he hadn't. Only had a couple. What will it take to stop you drink driving? Think. So you end up doing time, and now there's time to kill. There was time to kill and you ain't smiling. Still, you only had two, so you drink and drive, and then you hit that girl. Now she ain't alive, and now you're killing time. And it's time to kill. What will it take to stop you drink driving? Think.
My name's Bonnie, I'm an ambulance driver, and this is a recording I made while driving to a real emergency.
Let's see if anyone can see me coming through. Yep, they've made room down the middle. Lights are green, and they've all signalled and moved over. Thank you.
When you're driving and you see an emergency vehicle with its blue lights flashing and the siren sounding, pull over somewhere safe and signal so we know what you're doing. Remember to leave us a big enough gap to get through, and watch out, there may be more on their way.
Think. Help the emergency services to get through.
This is the sound of a car crashing at 35 miles an hour. Here it is again in slow motion. That strange sound is the passenger hitting the windscreen. That weird sound is his head fracturing. That crack is a leg breaking. And that's the sound of a seatbelt being fastened. Think. Always wear a seatbelt.
How many children do you think are killed or seriously injured in road accidents every week due to cars going too fast? 5? 10? 15? 19? The answer is 20. 20 children are killed or seriously injured in road accidents every week due to cars going too fast. Think. Slow down.
If your car crashes at 30 miles per hour, your seatbelt will stop you hurtling forwards at 30 miles per hour. But if you'd rather not use a seatbelt, you could always use the windscreen. Or you may prefer the dashboard. Another passenger is always an option. Or if you're thrown clear of the car, you've still got the old failsafe, the road. Think, front or back, always wear a seatbelt.
This is what a double-decker bus sounds like to a toddler. An 81-year-old woman with a hearing aid would hear this. A 16-year-old girl talking to her boyfriend on a mobile hears it like this.
No, my phone's running out.
All right then, so I'll see you at Dan's party tonight.
Yeah, don't be late, I'll see you there.
Right.
Teenagers are 3 times more likely to be knocked down than toddlers or the elderly. Think. This is what a 30-ton truck sounds like to a toddler. This is what the same truck sounds like to a 75-year-old man with a hearing aid. And this is how it sounds to a 16-year-old wearing a personal stereo. Teenagers are 3 times more likely to be knocked down than toddlers or the elderly. Think.
This one's for all of the girls in the club tonight. Who's having a good time out here? Somebody make some noise.
What ruins a great night out? It's rarely the DJ.
Who's feeling this?
It's certainly not the fit boys and girls. Just a couple of drinks can put you over the limit and you'll lose your licence, which could ruin any night out. Think. Don't drink and drive. Okay, Richard Mills, I'm arresting you on suspicion of being over the drink drive limit. You have the right to remain silent, but anything you do say may be taken down and given in evidence. You have the right to a 12-month ban. You have the right to swap your GTI for a micro-scooter. You have the right to have a little cry when no one's around. You have the right to grovel disgracefully to keep your job when the boss finds out. You have the right to punch the wall every time you hear "If I Could Turn Back Time" by Cher. You have the right to...
Even a couple could put you over the limit. Think. Don't drink and drive.
You're 4 times more likely to have a crash when you're on a mobile phone. You're 4 times more likely to have a crash when you're on a mobile phone. You're 4 times more likely to have a crash when you're on a mobile phone. It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at the same time. From December the 1st, it'll be illegal to use a handheld mobile phone when driving. Think. Switch it off before you drive. You're 4 times more likely to have a crash when you're on a mobile phone. You're 4 times more likely to have a crash when you're on a mobile phone. You're 4 times more likely to have a crash when you're on a mobile phone. It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at the same time. It's illegal to use a handheld mobile phone when driving. Think. Switch it off before you drive.
Hi mate, Andy. Yeah, just left the Solihull branch, yeah. Yeah, it went pretty well, yeah, they want 300 units, so... sorry? No, I'm headed down the M40. Where am I? Pretty much midway between Junction 12 and...
Junction 13, 2 cars overturned, southbound at the Werwick Services exit. 1 confirmed fatality, 2 criticals. Over.
Think. Switch off before you drive off.
Hello? Oh, hi, Debs. Yeah, I've just dropped Jamie off at his swimming lesson. Honestly, the traffic was a nightmare. Sorry? Yeah. Well, we could meet up after I've picked up...
The patient is a 7-year-old boy hit by a car, subdural hematoma, multiple fractures to femur and rib cage. OK, prep him for surgery.
Think. Switch off before you drive off.
Hello? Mrs. Graham, it's Bob from Tyler Smith Builders. I'll be with you in an hour. I said I'll be with you in an hour. Sorry, reception's terrible. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, mate? Hang on there. We'll get you out as quickly as we can. Talk to me. Come on, mate, stay with me now.
Think. Switch off before you drive off.
Hello? Oh, hiya, sorry, I lost you there. What were we saying? Oh, yeah, last night. What were you like? No, it was a brilliant evening. Gary, I know, he was absolutely...
Totally wrecked. The vehicle appears to have spun into oncoming traffic. Fire services are attempting to cut the passenger out now. Over.
Think. Switch off before you drive off.
You know when you're driving and you're tired and your head jerks up and you think, I nearly nodded off then. Maybe you did. It's called a micro-sleep. It might only last for 5 or 6 seconds. OK, you're on the motorway doing 70. How far would you go in 6 seconds? About 1/8 of a mile. Wake up to the problem.
When you're planning a journey, plan a rest stop at least every 2 hours. Think, don't drive tired.
Do you find that sometimes in meetings your head suddenly jerks up and you think, I nearly nodded off then? Well, you might have. It's called a micro-sleep. It may only last for 5 or 6 seconds, so you probably get away with it. But what if you've been driving? In 6 seconds on a motorway at 70 miles an hour, you'd have travelled about 1/8 of a mile. Would you have got away with it?
When you're planning a journey, plan a rest stop at least every 2 hours. Think, don't drive tired.
Are you in your car listening to this? Because if you are, I'm going to make a bet with you. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to win. Right, here goes, okay. I bet you're running late. All right, forget that. That was too obvious. Okay, I bet Someone's cut you up already today. No? Hang on. No, I know. No, this is the one. I bet you're driving too fast at this precise moment. If a child ran out in front of you now, could you stop? Think. Slow down.
Another drink, Tom? I can't, mate. I'm off to meet Rach. And? I've already had one and I'm driving, aren't I? Come on, mate. It's your round. One more can't hurt.
One more might hurt. But I don't want him to leave until he buys me the drink he owes me.
All right. One more. But then I'm definitely going. Whatever you say, Tom. You're the man.
He won't be the man if he gets done by the police. But it's his licence, not mine. It's his problem.
Cheers.
Remember who's driving. Remember whose licence it is. Think. Don't drink and drive.
It's always tempting to drive faster than you need to on those quiet country roads. It's a beautiful day, the road is clear, and it's not as if you're breaking the speed limit. Well, maybe a bit. Or you're just driving a little too fast around that bend. Then you could end up like 323 other drivers and passengers did last year. Zipped up. In a body bag. You're 3 times more likely to die in a car crash on a rural road. Think.
This is the sound of a child being hit by a car at 40 miles an hour. This is the sound of a child being hit by a car at 30 miles an hour.
If you hit me at 40 miles an hour, there's around an 80% chance I'll die. Hit me at 30 and there's around an 80% chance I'll live.
Think. It's a 30 miles an hour speed limit for a reason. How do you think the police spot a drink driver? Is it because they drive with the window wide open to sharpen up? Is it because they drive slower than normal to keep under the speed limit? Is it because the driver is taking a long route home via the back streets? Actually, it's all of these, plus many more. And during the World Cup, the police know when and where drivers are most likely to drink. So if you're drinking, don't drive. Think.
From the 18th of September, there is a new law to protect us in cars and goods vehicles. Children up to 135 centimetres or around 4'5" must use the right child car seat or booster.
To receive further information, call 08000 327252 or visit thinkroadsafety.gov.uk.
Think. Use the right child car seat.
This Christmas, may you be the lucky one who finds the golden coin in your Christmas pudding. And may you eat it, chip some teeth, and find it lodged in your windpipe. And ho, may you pull your crackers with mighty Christmas gusto, such gusto that your elbow slams through the front of your new widescreen plasma, for it's the season of goodwill to all men. Except drink drivers. If you're drinking, don't drive. Think.
Have you ever glanced at your watch and had to look again because you didn't register what time it is? Have you ever read a page of a book, then reread it because you didn't take anything in? Have you ever looked both ways at a junction, then pulled out and read? Sometimes a quick glance isn't enough. Every year an estimated 1,500 motorcyclists are killed or seriously injured when drivers look but don't see. Think. Take longer to look for bikes.
Today there's no newspapers in my newsagents.
There's no bread in the baker's. There are no apples for my lunchbox.
Today there are none of my favourite biscuits, the posh ones with the chocolate on top.
There's no milk for tea. Today there are no flowers for my mum.
None of my favourite tipple.
Or any tinned tomatoes in their own juice.
Today, many delivery drivers won't make their deliveries, because each week around 200 road deaths and serious injuries involve someone at work. Think. Give the road your full attention.
Today a pipe burst in my house and no one fixed it.
Today my central heating packed in and my family stayed cold.
Today my key snapped but no locksmith arrived.
Today my builder never showed up.
Today the cash point remained out of service.
Today my power wasn't restored.
Today, many plumbers, electricians and repairmen won't reach their destinations, because each week around 200 road deaths and serious injuries involve someone at work. Think. Don't rush to meet deadlines.
I knew I was over, but I just didn't personally think that it would be that bad. It's only a quick 5-minute drive down the road. They smelled alcohol in my breath as soon as I started speaking, and then they asked me, have I been drinking? That was it, really. I spent the night in the cell and absolutely hated it. With my girlfriend, it made life really hard to see her, and that put pressure on the relationship and ended up making us break up. It made life so hard for me. I lost my job, I lost my girlfriend, basically. It just went so wrong.
Don't drink and drive. Think.
I got stopped, breathalyzed, and I was over the limit. He gave me a caution, arrested me, cuffed me, and threw me in the cells for the night. I've got myself a criminal record, got all fingerprints, DNA taken out of my mouth, the full wax. The biggest worry for me was actually telling my boss that I'd lost my licence from drink driving. Just to have to tell him that I couldn't work for him anymore because I'd been stupid for one night was probably one of the worst days of my life.
Don't drink and drive. Think.
It was a really relaxed decision to make. It was 3 bottles of beer, just get in the car and drive 2 miles down the road and you'll be absolutely fine. I was breathalyzed, I tested positive for alcohol. I was probably in the cell for a couple of hours, but it felt like an absolute eternity because at that point you start to think about all manner of different things. I didn't know if they were going to contact my employer. I didn't know if they would still have my mother and father's address. I mean, all these things were going on and I just felt like scum, to be honest.
Don't drink and drive. Think.
Drove down a country lane, drove at 30 miles an hour, didn't see another car on the road until I saw some blue lights in my rear mirror. I then got pulled over, got breathalyzed and got nicked. You're always reminded of the fact each time they say, have you got any drink drive convictions? You go, yeah, well actually I do. Financially it obviously has huge implications that you don't think about when you get in the car after a couple of beers. Sometimes people think it's a lapse of judgment, but it is a criminal offence and you're made to feel like a criminal and you've broken the law.
Don't drink and drive. Think.
If you don't wear your seatbelt.
If you don't wear your seatbelt.
If you don't wear a helmet whilst cycling.
If you don't wear a helmet while cycling.
If you use your mobile phone whilst crossing the road.
Whilst crossing the road.
If you cross at a pedestrian crossing when the red man shows.
Pedestrian crossing when the red man shows.
Your kids will copy you.
Your kids will copy you.
Be aware of your actions on the road. Think.
Think.
If you don't wear your
seatbelt. If you don't wear your seatbelt.
If you use your mobile phone whilst crossing the road.
If you use your mobile phone while crossing the road.
If you cross the road where you can't see the traffic coming.
If you cross the road where you can't see the traffic coming.
If you disobey traffic signs when cycling.
If you disobey traffic signs while cycling.
Your kids will copy you.
Your kids will copy you.
Be aware of your actions on the road. Think.
Think.
Wrap the presents. Done. Cards posted. Tree up. Secret Santa sorted. Costume ready. Mistletoe got. Go for Christmas drink. Get pulled over. Hefty fine. 12-month ban. Problems with work. Relationship troubles. And a criminal record. Got. Don't let that pint ruin your Christmas. Think.
Phone conversations while you're driving can start in many different ways.
Hello, Mike? Yeah, how you doing? You alright?
Hi, Mum. Hi. Yeah, I just wondered, are you around later?
Hello, love. I fancy you calling. Yes.
But more and more end up in just one way.
That's a £60 fine and 3 points on your licence, sir.
Think. Switch off before you drive off.
4 more junctions.
Tiredness kills. Think. Take a 15-minute break every 2 hours.
Not far.
Tiredness kills. Think. Take a 15-minute break every 2 hours.
If you don't take enough breaks when you're driving, the electrical activity starts to drop in parts of your brain. You'll find it harder to concentrate. You'll start to fidget in your seat. Your eyes become itchy. You will start to yawn repeatedly. Your blinks become more frequent than longer. Your heart rate decreases. Your breathing will become deeper. You'll have difficulty keeping your eyes open. Your rib cage will be smashed. You won't be able to move your legs. Your lungs will be filling with blood. You'll have difficulty keeping your eyes open.
Sleep can creep up on you. Recognize the signs. Take a 15-minute break every 2 hours. Think. Tiredness kills.
You're tired. You're becoming less and less alert. Your blinks are more frequent. Your heart rate is decreasing. You're having difficulty keeping your eyes open. Your rib cage is smashed. Your lungs are filling with blood. You're having difficulty keeping your eyes open.
Think. Tiredness kills.
If you're tired, the monotony of driving sends you to sleep. If you're tired, the monotony of driving sends you to sleep. If you're tired, the monotony of driving sends you to sleep. If you're tired, the monotony of driving sends you to sleep.
Stop. Have a break and a coffee every 2 hours. Think. Tiredness kills.
When you're tired, the monotony of driving is sending you to sleep. You're tired, the monotony of driving is sending you to sleep. Driving is sending you to sleep. Sending you to sleep. Sleep.
If you fall asleep at the wheel, you're 50% more likely to die or suffer serious injury, because when you're asleep, you can't brake. Have a rest and a coffee every 2 hours. Think. Tiredness kills.
11 years is a long time. Over 11 years, you'll shave off 1.5 meters of facial hair. You'll breathe enough air to fill 20 huge hot air balloons. You'll see 937 cats out of the corner of your eye. And you would listen to this radio advert over 8 million times. A lot can happen in 11 years, but while the world moves on, you'll still have the record of a 12-month driving ban on your license. Time, gentlemen, please. Think. Don't drink and drive. How long is 11 years? It's difficult to imagine. 11 years. If a man kisses his wife goodbye every day, over 11 years his lips have been pressed against hers for 14 days. If every day you jump the last step of your stairs, in 11 years you've fallen through the air over a kilometer like a skydiver. How long is 11 years? It's how long the record of a 12-month driving ban stays on your license. Time, gentlemen, please. Think. Don't drink and drive.
John, can you take this gent down to cell number 3, please?
Yeah, come this way. Take your shoes off outside the cell there. Can you go? Thank you. Because you're having a blood test, you're going to be here for a little bit of time. You're going to be here for a while, alright? There's a bell on the side there if you want anything.
Get caught drink driving and you'll be processed like any other criminal. Think.
Follow me up to the desk here, please. Could you stand there and keep your hands out of your pocket for me, please? Move open the canter for me, mate. Every sergeant, this gentleman's been arrested on suspicion of drink drive. Vehicle stopped, the driver was spoken to, the roadside breath procedure was carried out and produced a positive result. Gentleman's arrested, Section 5 of the Road Traffic Act.
I'm going to authorise your detention, as you've been arrested for supplying a positive breath test at the side of the road. Do you understand that? You're going to have to give me some details, if you would. Can I have your surname, please?
Get caught drink driving and you'll be processed like any other criminal.
Okay.
Think.
How old are you, then? Are you going to tell me that?
Just step away from the counter for me, please. Just lift your hands to the side, keep the hands out of the way from me. I'm just going to search your pockets. Put what you have down on the counter from your pockets there, please. If there's anything sharp in your pockets that's going to hurt either you or me, just keep your hands out to the side there for me, please. Take your wristwatch off, place it on the counter, please. Take your belt off and place it on the counter, please.
Get caught drink driving and you'll be processed like any other criminal. Think.
Just step back and take your shoes off one at a time, please. And lift your feet for me one at a time, please. Okay, stick your shoes back on. Search complete, sir.
Getting your heart broken is something you often hear about in songs or read about in books, but it can happen for real. If you crash at 30 miles per hour without a seatbelt on, you'll hit the inside of the car, but your internal organs will keep travelling until they hit your rib cage. The impact can literally tear the main artery from your heart. So if you're not ready to have your heart broken, think. Always wear a seatbelt. There are lots of songs about heartbreak, but hearts don't really break, do they? Well, if you crash at 30 miles per hour without a seatbelt, you'll hit the inside of the car, but your internal organs will keep travelling until they hit your rib cage. The impact can literally tear the main artery from your heart. So if you're not ready to have your heart broken, think. Always wear a seatbelt.
It was raining, and Jane Fraser was 5 minutes late for the school run. Now she is the late Mrs. Jane Fraser. It was a misty morning, and Mark Taylor was running late for a meeting. Now he's the late Mr. Mark Taylor. Over half of all driving fatalities occur on rural roads. Think. Slow down. It was a blinding sunset, and Ian Meads was a little late to tuck his son in. Now he's the late Mr. Ian Meads. It was dark, and Sue Bell was running late to meet friends at the cinema. Now she's the late Miss Sue Bell. Over half of all driving fatalities occur on rural roads. Think. Slow down.
He used to sleep in on Saturdays, but he can't because I'm there. He goes to football. I'm on the touchline. He stops at the supermarket. I'm at the end of the aisle. At home, his kids are waiting. So am I. I'm the boy he killed 5 years ago because he was speeding, and now he has to live with it.
Think. It's 30 for a reason.
When he goes to work, I'm there. At the weekend, I'm there. On holiday, building sandcastles, I'm there, beside his son. At night, he tries to forget, but I'm always there. I'm the boy he killed 7 years ago, because he was speeding, and now he has to live with it.
Think. It's 30 for a reason.
He wakes up, washes his face. I'm there as he brushes his teeth. He takes the train to work. I'm at the station. I'm beside him at his desk, with him when he comes home. He watches cartoons with his son. He tries to look away, but I'm there. I'm the girl he killed 6 years ago because he was speeding, and now he has to live with it.
Think. It's 30 for a reason.
It was a little road, it was just a one-way street. I was halfway across the road and this guy comes around the corner, and if he'd kept to the limit then it would have been fine. But he put his foot down and come around the corner and I had to run, and he only just missed me.
I didn't see a car coming from around the corner. I stepped out with 1 foot. My mum quickly pulled me back because there was a car coming around and I didn't see it.
On average, 16 children are killed or seriously injured on our roads every day. Think. Slow down.
we were walking across the road and we'd done everything, like looked and listened, and this man just came really fast round the corner and had to brake really quickly. He started shouting at us and saying that we should have, looked and everything when it was his fault.
On average, 16 children are killed or seriously injured on our roads every day. Think. Slow down.
The limited edition Smith Rossi Hybrid is out now. You may pass it as you drive to work today. It's the perfect mix of British know-how and Italian style with a slightly larger than normal chassis. It was at the Isle of Man TT races in June. It's sort of beige but goes red easily. It sometimes leaves the loo seat up, but it does bring its wife flowers every Friday. It's called Adam. Do look out for it on the road. Think bike, think biker, think Adam.
There's a lovely 82 model out there on the streets. You may have passed it without realising. It's still in pristine condition. It was the first one off the McCarthy-Jones production line in Coventry. It looks great in a hat. It's happiest when it's curled up on the sofa with its daughter Lily. It's called Hayley. Do look out for it on the road. Think bike, think biker, think Hayley. There's a classic piece of British craftsmanship out there on the road. It's travelled 200,000 miles, but it's still ticking over quite nicely. It was made in 1971 by Sam and Elaine Fletcher, their third project. It's got a bit of a spare tyre. It makes a great spag bol. It's got 2 children, Archie and Emily, and it's still in love with its wife. It's called Steve. Do look out for it on the road. Think bike, think biker, think Steve.
If you fall asleep at the wheel, you'll put your life in danger, and the lives of others as well. Before you feel tired, pull off the road into a services or other safe area. Drink some strong coffee, and take a quick nap while the caffeine kicks in.
If you're having a nap, you've left your lights on, sir.
Right, cheers.
Think. Don't drive tired.
You didn't see the paramedics trying to restart her heart. You didn't see her best friend break down giving a speech at the memorial service. You didn't see her mother unable to take her things to the charity shop. You didn't see her father fall apart at bereavement counselling. But then you didn't see her on her motorbike at the junction when you pulled out. 30 bikers are killed or injured every day at junctions. So drivers think. Take longer to look for bikes. You didn't see the doctors fighting to keep him alive. You didn't see his wife's face as they turned off his life support machine. You didn't see his kids when they were told their daddy wasn't coming home. You didn't see the church full to bursting at the funeral. But then you didn't see him on his motorbike at the junction when you pulled out. 30 bikers are killed or injured every day at junctions. So drivers think. Take longer to look for bikes. You didn't see the surgeons trying to stop the internal bleeding. You didn't see his mother's face when the police told her her son had died. You didn't see his football mates hold a minute's silence. You didn't see his younger brother suddenly start getting into trouble at school. But then you didn't see him on his motorbike at the junction when you pulled out. 30 bikers are killed or injured every day at junctions. So drivers think. Take longer to look for bikes.
Hi, my name's Karen and I work at Hairdressers in Sheffield. I've got 2 kids, 1 husband and a dog. I ride a Kawasaki 500. I live in Halfway, so my journey to work is usually via Hackenthorpe, through Intake to Manor-Top, then down City Road all the way into town. I wear a pink leather jacket and a white helmet. So if you're driving that way, look out for me, please. Thanks.
Think bike, think biker, think Karen.
Alright, my name's Rob, and I do love a curry. So does me old man, actually. So we meet up every couple of weeks for a bite in the city centre. I live in Owlsowing, he's out in Kidderminster. So I get on me Suzuki 650. I take all the ring roads, St John's, St Mark's and St Andrews, then past the Molyneux and into Stafford Street. I park just near the Civic. When I take off my helmet, I can smell that biryani. If you're driving that route on a Thursday night, look out for me. Cheers.
Think bike. Think biker. Think Rob.
I'm PC Gates. Please step out of the car.
I'm PC Potts. That's a positive breath test. I'm arresting you for drink driving.
I'm Sergeant Walsh. Please remove your belt and empty your pockets.
I'm Dr. Chase. I've been asked to take a specimen of blood from you.
I'm PC Roberts. I'm going to keep you in a cell until you're fit to leave.
I'm Sergeant Fox. Your blood test was positive. I'm charging you with drink driving. I'll need to take your fingerprints and DNA.
I'm Magistrate Wenman. I find you guilty and sentence you to a 12-month driving ban and a heavy fine.
Think, drink drive and face the criminal consequences.
I'm PC Green. Your breath test is positive.
I'm Sergeant Anders. I'm charging you with drink driving.
I'm Jeff. I work at the DVLA. I've cancelled your licence.
I'm Arthur. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to let you go. It's company policy.
I'm Anne from HR. I've cancelled your contract and sent out your P45.
I'm John. I work at the job centre. I'm afraid your employment prospects have been badly affected.
I'm Lucy from recruitment. Your criminal conviction means we can't offer you the job.
Think, drink drive and face the employment consequences.
I'm PC Knight. Please step out of the car.
I'm PC Khan. Your breath test is positive.
I'm Magistrate Peters. I find you guilty of drink driving. I sentence you to a 12-month driving ban and a heavy fine.
I'm Carol, the car insurance broker. When you renew after your conviction, it's going to be much more expensive, I'm afraid.
I'm Dean. Sorry, mate, but I can't offer you more than £1,000 for your car.
I'm Lionel, the pawnbroker. I know what you paid for the speakers, but I'm offering 75 quid.
I'm Lucy. I'm sending you the bill for your legal fees.
Think, drink drive and face the financial consequences.
TXTIN space WHEN space DRIVIN space CAN space CAUSE.
Think. Don't use your phone when you're driving.
You'd be surprised at what's hidden by the trees and hedges that line country roads. An unsuspecting motorist would never know about this brown long-eared bat, for example, or this great crested newt, this common stoat, or that truck. Because the trees and hedges that line country roads also hide oncoming hazards. So the motorist entering that bend never suspected that an oncoming vehicle was veering into his lane. If you could see the danger around the bend, you'd slow down. Brake before the bend, not on it. Think.
Even if you are driving on drugs, you've got no reason to be pulled over, do you? It's not like the drugs are affecting you. Anyway, you know these roads. And the police can't tell you've done drugs, can they? It's not like your eyes are red or you're acting a bit strange. You'll be fine. Except from March 2nd, new laws have made it easier to catch and convict you, leading to a criminal record, a minimum 12-month driving ban and a fine of up to £5,000. Think. Don't take drugs and drive.
If you're driving on drugs, there's even more reason to be paranoid about the police. From March 2nd, the law changed to make it easier to catch and convict you. Think. Don't take drugs and drive.
You'd be surprised at what's hidden by the trees and hedges that line country roads. An unsuspecting motorist would never know about this brown bat, for example, or this great crested newt, this common stoat, or that truck. Because the trees and hedges that line country roads also hide oncoming hazards. So the motorist entering that bend never suspected that an oncoming vehicle was veering into his lane. If you could see the danger around the bend, you'd slow down. Brake before the bend, not on it. Think.
Even if you are driving high, you've got no reason to be pulled over, have you? It's not like the weed is affecting you. Anyway, you know these roads, and the police can't tell you're stoned, can they? It's not like your eyes are red or you're acting a bit strange. You'll be fine. Except if you get pulled over, the roadside swab will be able to tell that you've done drugs on the spot.
leading to a criminal record, a minimum 12-month driving ban, and a large fine. Think. Don't take drugs and drive.
If you use your phone while you're driving and it's not hands-free, the penalty's been doubled. It's now 6 points and £200. The trouble is, a lot of us are addicted to our phones. So try this trick. Put your phone somewhere where you can't pick it up. Somewhere you can't see it. The glove compartment. That way, you won't be tempted. Save yourself 6 points and £200. Maybe even save a life. Make the glove compartment the phone compartment. Think. Put your phone away.
That moment when you're listening to your friend and checking your phone, then suddenly have no idea what they're talking about. Or that moment when you're using the camera to check your hair and walk into a lamppost. Or what about that moment when you're driving and check your messages and don't notice that pedestrian? If you look at your phone for a couple of seconds at 30 miles per hour, you miss 100 feet of road. Don't have that moment. Think. Put your phone away. That moment when you promise yourself an early night, but end up on the phone in a YouTube wormhole until 2 a.m. Or that moment when you're walking and texting and look up to see the person you almost walked into glaring at you. Or what about that moment when you're driving and check your messages and don't notice that pedestrian? If you look at your phone for a couple of seconds at 30 miles per hour, you miss 100 feet of road. Don't have that moment. Think. Put your phone away.
You can say anything to a mate. Anything. Call 'em every name under the sun. Wind 'em up. Bring 'em down a peg. Tell 'em stuff you never thought you'd tell anyone. Because they're proper mates. Like brothers. When it's a mate, you say what you feel like saying. Except, I love you, man, and I'm not going to let you drink drive. Stupid, innit? Mates don't let mates drink drive. Think.
This is your captain speaking. I'd like to welcome you on board today's flight. As we're currently behind schedule, we're going to skip all the pre-flight checks and just proceed with takeoff. I've given the tyres a kick and I think we've got enough fuel to get there, and the oil warning light hasn't come on yet, so buckle up and enjoy the flight.
You wouldn't fly without the proper checks, so why drive without them? Highways England recommends you check your tyres, fuel and oil before every long journey. For more information on vehicle safety checks, search Think.